God, this is the lowrider. Alright, a few things. Alright, are you recording right now?
Yeah.
Stop for a second. Kenny?
Yeah, we are.
Alright, here we are
music though?
at Chain Reaction Records, 8799 West Colfax, Lakewood, Colorado, 80215 for episode 3 of Talking Shit.
Good, now we know we can curse.
Oh yeah, hey, you're cursing in the title. We've got our trusty producer, Sean, here, as well as the members of Accused AD. What's up, guys?
Happy to be here.
Saturday, not technically in Denver, but we're here in Colorado.
Yeah. We're what? We're 10 miles from downtown?
Yeah.
A few miles shy of the Denver border, I guess. Where's Denver? Sheridan?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dean's in the background. Justin,
Technically, we're legally not allowed in Denver proper.
you're not allowed in Denver?
No. Blaine had a franchise. He had a snake franchise for a while, and there's like you can only be like in proximity of so many other ones.
What?
Don't listen to Alex. He's trying to get me in trouble.
Teasing.
Trying to dredge up the past.
Why would I?
What's the snake franchise like? Some reptiles or something? I mean, obviously a snake is a reptile, but
Kerry King in on that, or
That was
Kerry King and Slash.
Slabs.
sucking the venom out of
Well, they wanted a
certain
snake
type of snake.
They were doing so they're doing some recruit work, and they were skinning the snakes so that they could make those new Slash edition snakeskin amps. So he had a.
this is just getting facetious.
Yeah.
All right, let's go around the table real quick and do some introductions. Start with you, Alex.
I'm Alex.
Maga Brain?
Yep.
Where's Maga Brain come from?
The first band I was in was called Mega Brains.
Okay.
So you kind of get labeled.
Yeah.
Your first band back in the day would be your moniker. Fortunately, that was relatively okay. You could have got stuck with a pretty bad one, but that's where that came from.
All right, cool.
As kids, yeah.
Maga Brain, did you guys put anything
16.
out? I've never.
Well, we did a excellent DIY comp cassette tape.
Yeah.
No, we were kids, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to play with them. They were the bass drum vocal type of a deal.
The Chaos.
Yeah.
We were like, I was 16 and the drummer guy was 15 and the singer nut was like 24, 25. And you get really drunk and we just kind of like provide some background mayhem.
Right.
This bullshit. It's pretty funny. Like I said, we're fucking idiots.
What other bands have you played in? You were in Farts for a while too, right?
Mm-hmm. The later rendition of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a hoot. That was really fun.
You got anything else going on besides Accused AD?
I was playing in another band. It was more like a project thing for a little while called the Plot Sickens, but I don't have any idea what that will really do.
Okay.
It's just some dudes that I know.
All right, Blaine.
Yeah. I'm Blaine. Blaine Fart.
Fart.
Yeah.
He got it. That's where he lost his cherry. So
Yeah. So I get to be Blaine Fart. Not luckily I'm not Loud Fart, but
Loud Fart.
that's just how that went.
And you did some time in a Grunt Truck too, right?
Well, that was Alex was in Grunt Truck.
Oh, okay. You were in Grunt Truck. Okay.
That was during the lineup when the Grunt Truck was pretty much the Accused with a different singer.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah. Josh and Tom. Me, Josh and Tom.
Definitely their heaviest.
That edition of that one.
See, there was drummers. There was Josh. There was Dana, and who played drums on Splatterrock?
Devin.
Devin, yeah.
It had to be Josh or Dana that I met one time in Glenwood Springs.
What year?
It was either late 80s. Yeah, it had to be late 80s. I was still in high school.
Devin then.
Because there was some big snowboarding thing going on up at the Sunlight Ski area. And there were some punk bands in Glenwood, EOS, End of Story, and Legion of Faith. And we'd go hang out with those dudes. And there was supposed to be a show to coincide with the snowboarding thing, but I think it was supposed to be at the Holiday Inn or something. It got canceled. So they moved the show just to their practice space. It was fucking nuts. Like everybody just piled in there.
I remember that. You could
diving
barely
off
walk
the
in.
sofa.
It was so packed when you go to walk in, you could barely walk into the joint.
Yeah.
Did he play?
EOS and Legion of Faith played, the locals, that was it. And I remember I had the Accused painted on my leather jacket, and dude was like, dude, I was in the Accused.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Dana lived down here, like outside of Denver, and
Yeah, that could have been it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because his old lady was from here.
Yeah,
Excuse me, his wife was from here.
Yeah. I always thought it was Dana, but then I just, over the years, I kind of forgot. I wasn't
probably
sure.
was.
It wasn't like
I was
you didn't
thinking
have
in the context
Facebook
of
back
story.
then. Like, hey, let's be Facebook chums and stay in touch.
He's in San Francisco now. I worked on a newspaper.
All right. What else you got going on, Blaine?
I do this. I have a restaurant. Got a wife, a house, a couple of dogs, a cat, tortoise.
Awesome daughter.
Yeah, awesome daughter.
You got a daughter. How old's your daughter?
22.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
My daughter's 16. My son is 10.
Mine's 22.
22, yeah. Yeah, she just graduated and got herself a good job.
Right on. Cool, man. What's the name of your restaurant?
Zippy's Giant Burgers.
Okay, cool.
I've been doing that for 10 years.
They sell hamburgers.
A little over
Yeah.
10 years now, yeah.
Right on.
Alex and Steve were very helpful in the opening of the restaurant, providing a lot of free and discounted labor.
Yeah.
We like hamburgers too.
Yeah.
Go for one.
I'm Steve.
How you doing, Steve?
Doing well, thanks.
What's your
Thanks for
shirt,
helping.
man?
No, I guess not only do we do Accused AD, I mean, really our real band is Toe Tag. That's really what our real band is, and we just kind of do this as this is like.
Oh, really? All you guys in toe tag?
We're all in toe. I mean, we've
Yeah.
been doing actually Toe Tag since we stopped doing the Accused before. Yeah.
Same thing, essentially. Same
Yeah.
band, essentially.
Yeah.
When that last go around with the Accused stopped, I went back to playing guitar, and Steve came in. I played with Steve before, and Steve came in and played bass.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other Accused drummer, Steve Nelson. So we were pretty much we were 3/4 of the Accused, and we were Toe Tag.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
And you guys still do that?
Yeah.
Still
Yeah,
gig
yeah,
out
yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah.
Then we
Cool.
started doing this, and we started getting people that wanted us to do all this stuff. So now we're playing some of these out for.
Yeah. We'll get around a table, but it makes me think of something. Just what's it like to get a phone call or an email, 25, 30 years later saying, hey, can you come play these songs in my city?
Flattering.
And you guys just did a little Midwest thing or something, right? And
After East Coast thing we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did the East Coast thing last
Long
week.
Island, Brooklyn,
Yeah,
okay.
Philly,
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Providence.
Yeah.
Fucking killer. It's fucking killer.
That's rad.
That's a lot of fun. It's more like it's more pure, because there's really. I mean, there was a point when there was money involved, and like now,
We all
you get your expenses covered. You go have a good time. I mean, there's no bullshit attitudes or anything. It's,
Yeah.
It's all for fun. We got
Yeah.
other shit. Everybody's got other shit going on. So.
Yeah,
this isn't our job,
With we're playing with you guys tonight in our band Clusterfucks. We had like a 15-year run, and then we broke up. And we were putting together a European tour, and our drummer was flaking out. And I remember I was up snowboarding. My brother called me. He's like, so and so says they can't do this tour, and I was just like, I'm done. I quit. And he's like, yeah, I'm the same thing. So we did. We quit for like 5 years, and then it was like one of our older drummers had passed away, and we went over to his funeral. So which was kind of weird. We were on the way over. The two of us were like, this would be kind of weird. So we kicked him out of the band, but is there going to be attitude when we get there? But we got there, and like his family and his friends and everybody were just so gracious, and they were really they were so nice to us in that that was so great. You guys took Colin out on a tour and blah blah blah. And it was just they made us feel really good, and it made me really miss Colin, and it made us miss
What you were doing.
Yeah, so
There's so much more than it's all the other shit that you do. It's not just the music part of it. It's the whole. There's a whole.
Yeah.
And if you do it a lot, I mean, we've done this longer than we haven't at this point in the game. He's 50s ish, so you start doing it when you're a fucking teenager.
Yeah, and when you're a little bit older, it's kind of nice though, where you kind of can call some of your own shots, like where you don't have to play an empty bar on a Tuesday night.
No, not.
But you can play an empty bar on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you get to do things more on your on your time frame and on your level.
That's just more into it falls into like, is it? Well, I like doing this. Is this going to be fun?
Yeah.
It's not like, dude, this show is going to really fucking start lining stuff up for us. This one show, then it's going to happen. I told my boss he can fucking see me in fucking 2 weeks and I'm out of here. We're going to fucking hit this next one's going to really do it.
Oh, I remember that. I remember before we broke up, that there was always that stress. Like, oh, this band's coming to town. We got to get on that gig. What if we don't get on that gig? Like, the same thing. This is going to be the one. Yeah, and then when that doesn't happen, like, okay, it's okay. It's the next one. And you're always setting yourself up for letdowns, basically.
If that's, yeah, if you're thinking like that.
Yeah, and then I think, we took that break, we put it back together, and the objective is completely different. The objective is to go out and have fun. So, Steve, let's, what are you up to, man?
I'm here.
What's your shirt? That's pretty rad
My
looking.
shirt says Maniacal Device. They're from Cleveland, I believe.
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie, Pennsylvania. Oh, they came over. Guys from that band came over and watched this when we played at the Foundry in Cleveland. And we swapped shirts.
Right on.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, just here for the weekend, man. Back to reality Monday morning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you do?
Besides work and hang out at my house, I play with some other guys. Like, we practice on Tuesday night. It's kind of a project thing. It's called Brain Cell Genocide, I guess. Well, we're playing next weekend. I'm playing twice. We're last and Brain Cell Genocide's first, so
Oh, cool.
I'll be playing twice. that
Double
night.
duty.
Yeah.
Twice the money.
Yeah, it'll be the first show I ever played with them, so
This
that'll be
guy,
cool.
how many bands are you in? Like 5 bands or
I'm
something?
on 4 right now. I'm keeping it 4.
Maybe.
Capped it. I was at 5 and 6 for a little while. And I'm like capping it 4.
So we were talking about...
and one project.
somebody
so
spilled
kind
the
of
beans
5,
and told him, but we were talking like, for his birthday, we should put together Justin Fest and only have his bands play. And he won't be able to turn it down because it'll already be booked, and all these people will be counting on him, and he'll have to play every single set.
So exhausted.
Fucking great idea.
Well, I did that at a fest over 2 days. When we did that fest like 8 years ago. And you remember the fest?
Yeah, I remember.
And so it's 3 shows in 2 days, and I played. It was like 4 or 5 sets, and by the last day, I was like, I could barely get off the ground. I was just like exhausted. Because each one, you got your adrenaline up, and you're like, whatever you're doing, and you're like, okay, take it easy, drink some beers, calm down, play again, and then like,
Yeah, some of the bands he's a
multiple
drummer,
times
some of the
doing
bands he's a
that, you just
guitar
like,
player. So
I felt like Jello.
Wow.
Yeah, I could
Got to
see
do it though.
the expense of energy doing that.
Fucking double headers and have to whip your ass.
Yeah, no
Can't do
shit.
those.
Oh, here, I'm sorry, dude, I forgot your name.
Mickey Splatterhead.
Mickey Splatterhead.
I'm a
Josh.
new guy. I joined early this year after playing for Poison Idea for a couple of years. I did a record with Poison Idea and toured like 14 countries with them. And then Jerry decided to hang it up, and I bugged Blaine for almost a year to let me try out.
Why'd you make him wait a year, man?
Well, he lives in Portland, so he comes up to
Okay.
Seattle every week, and it's kind of, it's like, I mean, like I said, there's no money in this. And like, when we can, I give him some money when I can. But it's like,
Yeah.
And what we do is kind of, I mean, like Alex said, it's more than just playing the music. I mean, we're kind of
They pay me in weed.
We're kind of like a gang, a social entity, So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like you have to be able to want to come and get together and have some beers and smoke some weed and listen to us run our mouths from
However long we decide.
right.
Yeah.
So it's
No, but this is a super high honor for me because I started listening to The Accuser, like my favorite band since like 14. So I'm in my 40s now.
1914?
19.
Yeah, same me, 8th grade.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
my
I think
first
all of us
jam,
kind of
yeah.
share that sentiment, skating and listening to The Accused and just
Yeah.
getting into punk. It was all.
Yeah, totally. I'm guessing we're kind of all about the same age, probably.
Yeah, I'm 45.
Yeah, 47. You're
43.
Yeah, so it was kind of all that same time, right? Like
Yeah.
he was into, like we both had gotten into punk, and then I was more of a metal dude, so I kind of let the punk slide. He stayed with punk, and I was all about thrash, and then ultimately that crossover, and then all the dudes wearing punk shirts all the time. I was like, kind of got me back into punk and stuff. Then finally I decided I just love it all.
I'm somewhere in the middle as well.
Yeah.
Like crossover kid.
But yeah, I'm a crossover kid. I wrote that in my notes. I was a crossover kid, and
Same, even
Best of
same
both
for
worlds.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
like even I played. Have you ever joined that band Hyrax? That old LA band. I joined that band. That was like for me, like just to be able to be like.
You played in Hyrax.
Yeah, on one album, but it was just like cool, like same with you. You know, like you loved that band since you were a kid, and that's kind of how I was with that band. Like it was a chance to like go be in like one of those crossover bands that jam like forever. You know, it's like it's super influential.
we were talking about some of this earlier today. Just that crossover era. There was just so much killer shit going on in that accused page up where everybody's been sharing all the flyers lately. Some of those flyers are just amazing. What was it? The one was Beyond Possession, The Accused, Blast with the Melvins opening. I'm like, fucking mind-blowing, man.
I remember people in LA telling me about this show, this whole show. It was the Dead Kennedys and the Accused.
Yeah.
And I remember them tripping out because that was like the craziest show to them they'd ever seen. It's like the two extremes. You know?
Now you can't do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you do a show like that, they're going to come and see that band. You think it's going to be this big melting pot of people, you know, and everything's going to come together. But
we were able to pull some of that off in Denver for a while, and that was one thing that we had talked about. Like, we want flyers that look like those old flyers from New York with the Cro-Mags and Nuclear Assault on the same show with Anthrax, and where you saw on the West Coast with Final Conflict with Cryptic Slaughter and Discharge. Like, we wanted, so we would do that, and it worked for a while, but then it just, you know, everybody's got their tribe, right? And they're not, the grindcore kids are over here, the street punk kids are over there, crusty kids are over there. It worked for a while, but then everybody started going back to their corners.
Polarized.
Yeah.
because the younger people don't know that that's how they got to where they are right now, is because if there was that, there was that coming together, that togetherness.
So, because you could go off and stagnate by yourself, or if everybody is in more of a, like I like to stay away from words like, you know, community, but it's just that exchange of ideas that otherwise it wouldn't happen because you're off on your fucking own. Everybody's in a vacuum because they all.
Yeah, so like really,
there's no diverse thought. There's no difference in shit. So,
you know, back then it was just all hardcore punk and thrash, right? And then it just started splintering in all these like subgenres and subgenres, and then kids attach themselves to those labels oftentimes. And then you get a kid like, I'm a street punk, I won't go to that show. Well, why? Like, it's got a lot of the shit you like.
That was
overlap.
Counter to what it was all.
Yeah.
That's not what it was supposed to be.
No, that's why you look at some of their shows that are like, I mean, I remember going to shows when I was a kid, and there was like that fucking weirdest mix of shit. You'd have like a noise band, maybe some old hippies that are still playing some shit, the punk, you know, and it was such a cross section of stuff.
I remember one time asking Roger Murray about the New York scene. He's like, obviously he was with Amy from Nausea, and then he had bands like Bold and Youth of Today, etc. And he had compilations, and then you'd see shows too, with Agnostic Front, Nausea, and Bold, and and Warzone. Like, how did that work? How did like Nausea fit in with Bold? And he was just like, because that was our scene. It was just all one big scene. Sure, some guys had their head shaved and some guys had dreadlocks, but at the end of the day, it was just a one big inclusive scene. And he kind of put it back. He's like, it was the kids outside the scene that tried to separate it and break it into their little pieces.
Is this Roy from Nausea you're talking about? The drummer Roy?
No, I was talking to Roger from Agnostic Front. He was just kind of like, being an outsider, trying to understand how that all worked together in their scene. It was like, because that was our scene. It was a big happy family. But somebody like me that grew up in the mountains, I thought, okay, the skinheads are over here, hardcore kids here, punk rock guys are here. That they weren't all inclusive like it was. Yeah,
inclusive. Yeah. There's more of that happening now. I think people are generally adopting that inclusive mindset more.
I think so. I'm starting to see it a little bit more in the punk scene, but
I see a lot of it in the punk scene. I mean, you're gonna have the kids who are just gonna always be like, 77 street punk and that's it, you know. But I've seen like a lot of the younger kids who are kind of coming up behind that crowd are starting to get like they
don't want to be stuck with.
Yeah, they're into the street punk, but they're also like you see with like crust and metal patches and shit like that. So I kind of and their bands are starting to reflect that too. That they're kind of getting it more. That it's like a bigger, wider scene. You know?
I can never say their
like
name
all
right.
Like the D-beat and like the noise shit. That's really started influence, which is way heavier than like the street punk stuff.
Is it Ala Hatma?
Alamata.
Alamata, local band, and then they come to mind when we talk about it. You see him, kids wearing his Doom shirt, and they're doing a Blitz cover. I'm like, all right, you guys are seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question I put together. A lot of bands, Entombed, Queensryche, Venom, even the LA glam bands, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, and probably the most embarrassing scenario, Rat.
Stephen Piercy, right?
So awesome.
Did you see Stephen Piercy all fucked up?
Clutching at the drums, almost falling over.
Here's the thing, though. Everybody's bagging on. Yeah, right. Knee condition. No, he did blow out his knee years ago. And we saw him like 2 or 3 days after that show, and he had his knee brace on and like sitting on a stool for most of it. He did fall off stage and rip his knee apart. But if that was 20 years ago, you've probably figured out by now that your pain meds and alcohol don't mix.
You think that guy's figured out the rock and roll lifestyle? Yeah.
Some of that shit, man. He was like laying there, round and round.
Pick your poison, buddy. Can't have them both.
He's picking up. There's some stuff there. He's like, it looks like he's gonna start eating something. He's like,
Dude, there's
a bite of his phone.
There's some footage a few years ago of Faster Pussycat. And whatever bass player they had just fucking did the Nestea plunge. Just he's standing there and just
yes.
They drug him off, and the roadie came in and played bass for the
I
set.
went to high school with the singer of that band.
Oh really?
Gus Moldick.
Oh no shit.
Oh yeah. I knew him and his stepbrother around not from being before any of us were in bands. I knew that guy.
Yeah, I saw Faster Pussycat one time. They went on at like 11 a.m. They obviously had been up all night, and they were falling down. They eventually had the plug pulled on. They kicked them off the stage.
Oh, wow.
But common thread between these, from Entombed and Venom to Rat, where you've got bands that split and went in two different directions. It seems to me that there's always one dude that's a dick that no one wants to jam with. And Rat, it's Bobby Blotzer, it's Tracy Guns, it's Kronos. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That's and sometimes the one person that's the dick is the person that is the most adored and can like do no wrong
in the public eye. They're perceived in a way that's not necessarily 100% accurate.
Yeah, nobody.
So they think, it's the dude. It's like, well, actually, no. You should maybe go ahead.
Yeah, nobody. Brings up the fact that one person is the reason why everybody else won't play. It's like if it's one guy, then everybody else is
like four guys
split away. Then it's not like four guys.
That show something.
But people don't. They have something they don't want to put together because they still hold some of these people in such high regard and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, sure. I mean, he was in Hyrax, and Caton is the only guy that is on every Hyrax album. He's got a different lineup for every album.
Yeah,
and people are gonna beat him up for saying he was in Hyrax.
Oh, and I was in Long Beach. Yeah, people. I couldn't even go to the local record store, like the bar. Be like, I'm in Hyrax. I'm in this bar. People are like, dude, don't tell people you'll get me. I'm like, oh fuck! Like, I had to keep it a secret, man. Yeah.
Dude had a reputation. It sounds like.
Wow. I think we talked about that in the Slayer episode. We got down to it. Basically, he played guitar, and didn't you play bass on the album too?
Guitar and bass, yeah.
And Caden couldn't come up with a drummer, so he got a friend of ours from Denver to fly in and play drums on the album. And then he got kicked out of the band and never got a copy of the album.
Oh shit!
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Did he get to do any of those big shows?
No, never had to play any show.
No.
But like when I got kicked out of the band, I came back. We started the Clusterfucks back up, and the first show we played was with Conflict.
Oh, all right.
So that was phenomenal, you know.
So tell me a little bit about the farts. The farts still have a pretty good following. I think we've got a couple of fart CDs in the bin over there, and we've definitely sold a few.
Weren't they the first Alternative Tentacles band? Was it the first, like, 01 or something? Or was that just...
we're like, I don't know, the first 15 or 20. That's right.
I was going to say, because isn't Accused Mosh number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Bad or...
Yeah, right after the Flex.
CO War, yeah.
Yeah.
The Earache Children of the Revolution. Yeah.
Earache Records.
So the obvious question I've got to ask about the farts is Duff, who went on to be in one of the biggest hard rock bands ever.
The funniest thing about people associating Duff with the Farts is that I had this record put out called "We See You Crawling." There was like some of these, some practice stuff and some live stuff and like some radio interviews, and I had him put on there featuring Duff from Guns N' Roses, and he really was only played with us for just a short period of time. We did one show where he played drums, and we did actually the best recording that we did before we did the stuff when Alex was in the band, and that's the only reason that people would associate Duff with being in the Farts. We actually the first show that the Accused played was with the Farts, with Duff on the drums and with Poison ID in Portland. With this other band from Seattle called the Rejectors, and the Accused just showed up at the show and tried to get in, and asked to get on the bill, and they did. And then we did after we did the Farts, and then we changed our name to 10 Minute Warning, and then Duff went to play second guitar. And we had this guy Greg Gilmore that played drums, and David Greenson on bass. We tried to get Alex to play bass, which I would have preferred, and I think he was a little too edgy for what was going on. I was robbed for what was going on with the 10 Minute Warning thing. And then we did I was with 10 Minute Warning for like another 6 months after that, and then they booted me.
Gotcha. I think Duff tried to leverage that quite a bit. Like Guns N' Roses hit. They were that era, but they didn't want to be associated with the Motley Crues and the Rats.
Yeah,
they
he
tried
used to use that for some street cred.
Yeah, some street cred, exactly.
Well, he was in a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, that guy was.
Seattle
he's like you. That guy was in. Fucking four.
Yeah, really prolific.
He played in the Fastbacks. He played in the Silly Killers. He played in
the Veins.
The Veins. He played in the Zip Dads.
The Zip Dads, yeah.
Or with Slats. He played in. He's just one of those extremely prolific dudes around town.
Yeah. I see pictures of him pop up every now and then from some of my friends in Seattle. It seems like maybe, I don't know, at least from my perspective, it seems like he's still approachable or
absolutely.
out there.
Yeah, I haven't run into him for a while, but I run into him every once in a while.
Right.
He's just exactly like the dude that you ever knew.
I was going to say my buddy Dwayne, but I think you guys know Dwayne. Dwayne from the Derelicts. Yeah, those are the last. He had some pictures of him and Duff that he had posted a while back. Yeah,
there was that. There was benefit down at.
How come he didn't grab his dick?
He probably tried. What's a trip about Dwayne? I knew Dwayne years and years ago, and then he disappeared for a long time, and then he came back, and it was then I never realized that he was Dwayne from the Derelicts. And just one day he and I were talking, and for some reason Derelicts came up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got that, was it 777-inch or whatever, and blah blah blah, I love the Derelicts. He's like, dude, that's me. I'm like, what? I had to go home and pull out my record and look. I'm like, no shit, that's fucking Dwayne.
I was tripped out too. I was just talking to Dwayne at one of our shows a couple weeks ago. I was tripped out. Sure, in the Derelicts? Yeah.
And then he brought the guys down, and they played 2 nights at the Lions Lair, and our other band we got to play with, and that was really cool getting to play with the Derelicts. Well, what would Martha do with Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, I don't know. We wouldn't call her Martha now, just because we don't want
Martha A.D.
Yeah, Martha A.D.
Explain a little bit about Martha.
Martha A.D. Splatter.
Yeah. Well, Martha A.D.
Marta
is a close relative to Martha Splatterhead, who was the mascot of the Accused. So zombie-ish, undead, crazy lady that would kill child molesters and rapists and and whatnot.
Such bad guys.
Yeah.
Vigilante.
Vigilante.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson with tits.
Yeah. Not that lame Bruce Willis.
Did Martha and Eddie ever have anything going on?
I don't think he was really into the ladies.
No.
Yeah, too into the rock and roll.
Eddie Maidenhead.
But Marta, what do you call her? Marta? AD?
Marta. Yeah.
Marta.
Marta AD, yeah.
What does she think of Brett Kavanaugh?
I think she gets to DC. You know what? I think if she probably ended up there, we'd probably never see her again.
Yeah. You can't bring. Yeah, she doesn't go to the East Coast.
I think she'd be too
probably
busy.
gut him, but she would gut him just like she would any other politician. So they're all fucking. It's all a fucking crooked old white man money, gray hair, bullshit, self-absorbed for your own fucking thing. That's what it's all about. It's all about the money.
Well, that's why all of the rhetoric and buzzwords surrounding that. It's like it always evolves and changes, but the same motherfuckers are still there, and they're just saying whatever is like those old white just talking about inclusivity and It's like, well, you're not going to include anybody. You've been in here since the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's dudes that have been back to the late 60s.
Oh yeah, just fucking. If you're older than me, y'all shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
I'm old enough. Y'all shouldn't be there. Like when they're talking to Mark Zuckerberg, and it's like, shh. And there's this net, and it's like, dude, you're talking about the fucking internet, and it's just like they're just too out of touch. They're too rich. They're too insulated. There's nothing wrong with money. Have all the fucking money you want, but they're absolutely affected by it. They're so affected by it that it's like when you saw George Bush trying to show him how to fucking ring up groceries. He's just like, fuck, look at that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Hillary Clinton ordering a burrito, she's like, oh, and then you ask for that, and they give you that, and everything. It's like,
they don't even,
just the everyday. They're so incredibly removed from everything.
And then you watch like old debates because I go down that YouTube tunnel sometimes, and they're talking about the same exact stuff.
They're talking about the same stuff, and what's really funny is within a very short proximity of time, you can watch them speaking on completely taking that 180 degrees diametrically true. You can watch like Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, or Harry Reid, and they're talking about. Oh boy, we ran about this. Let's talk about Martha Splatterrock or something else anymore. This is stupid.
Martha's still up to stuff. We're about to. Should I tell them we're about to go into the studio?
Oh yeah.
And
when we get in there, we're going to record.
Martha's got more work to do.
Yeah.
So I guess the short of that is she's got a lot of work to do.
With Jack and Dino, no less. He's going to record us. It's super privileged and so stoked. He did Straight Razor and Grinning Like an Undertaker and The Farts and The Gits, another great band.
Okay, cool.
Toe Tag. Bruce Dickinson.
Hot Rod Lunatics.
Obviously Nirvana and Soundgarden.
Yeah. No shit.
Oh, he's done a lot of stuff.
Is this your recording with? So you said it?
Oh yeah, we're recording
every
a week. About 2 weeks from now.
Well, I got a question about that. So, on the Accused records, obviously the songs, the super influential, the opening bass line, everybody fucking, these songs. The one thing that always stuck out to me about Accused albums was I want to swear a buddy of mine even had a record of just covers. That you guys always had like the coolest covers on your record.
Yeah,
not
that's
the
one of my
album covers, but like
questions,
the coolest other band
covers.
Yeah. And I always wondered what brought that, because that kind of influenced us to try to kind of seek out different.
Yeah,
shit
the way obviously very different, but
even from the Who.
Yeah, it was almost like how Judas Priest was really able to take a song and make it theirs. You guys were able to do that as well.
Sometimes that's from the inability to play it like the original, but sure.
Yeah, totally.
Just stripping it down to its bare essence,
right.
Accidental brilliance.
Well, especially back then when it's like, try to find lyrics. You couldn't find lyrics to anything.
You had to make up some of your own.
Oh, yeah, or you're listening to the record back and forth.
It sounds like that.
Right. Yeah, and then you say what you think is actually.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not that. It's this.
Nowhere close.
We were in this punk band back in the early 90s, and we were really into Exploited back then. We used to cover Punk's Not Dead when we were kids, right? And so we had our interpretation of the lyrics, and just a couple weeks ago, it's like, you know what? There's the internet now. Let's look up and see what those lyrics are. We were reading. I'm like, no shit. That's what he says. It was like we were way off, man. I kind of liked ours better though.
Yeah.
I wonder how Waddy's doing. Speaking of those guys, I know he's been down on his back or something.
Yeah,
Heart problems.
so he's had 2 heart attacks already, and then this one was at
To cancel Portland and the tour.
Yeah, we were supposed to play the Denver show, and that got canceled.
Sending love to him.
It was that he this time he hadn't had a heart attack yet, but his heart had slowed down to a very unhealthy rate.
Yeah.
And so it was just stay home. You know, he was always really active on Instagram, and since he got sick, he's posted like one thing in the last month.
He's probably just trying to get better.
So he mentioned the cover songs. I was going to ask you about those last couple albums, Grinning Under Like an Undertaker's, Splatterrock. I can't remember if Straight Razor was, but Nasty Mix Records.
Yeah.
So what was Nasty Mix Records? In my mind, and I probably could have gone to the internet and looked this up. In my mind, I made it up back then, was that late 80s, early 90s, that was Sir Mix-a-Lot's label. Did it have anything to do with Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Yes.
He was on the label, but did he own the
I
label?
think owner, him and Ed Locke.
Yeah, I think it started off as
label.
more when those first Mix-a-Lot, Posse on Broadway or Buttermilk Biscuits and
Buttermilk Square Dance Rap.
yeah,
and all
some of that
shit.
first stuff I think was the first things that came out on the label.
And it was like that stuff was coming out, and his expertise was that, and then the Ed Locke is like Mr. Marketing guy, and so that's how the whole label was kind of. And then there was an unamicable split at the end too.
Yeah.
So
But they started signing. They had they would throw these guys. They did this party on the Space Needle where it was being filmed by BET.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, we're there. I mean, there was a little there was a little teeny bit of animosity with with some of the black acts that that we were part of the label. But I mean, after they signed us and they kind of started, they did like what's that band called like Blue Monday or some other weird kind of white boy radio rock or shit.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, well, they signed a million bands. They kept moving. They moved into this old used to be the radio broadcast. It was a really posh, upscale office thing that they had in this building, which was cool because they were on the 9th floor, and on the 7th floor was the Seattle Models Guild. So you were guaranteed
every time you'd go there and ride the elevator up.
There might be a very attractive lady who would just stare out like, look at these pieces of shit. They're all just staring at me. It's like,
funny.
Like how my cat looks when the dog zooms up on us. Just please, just leave me alone.
That reminds me of where we practiced in Poison Idea in Northwest Portland. The next door down from us, they would film pornos. And so we'd go to practice Poison Idea, and there would always just be these, porn stars and people coming out of this room. Just you knew what was going on, and it was an interesting background. This was a pro place. It wasn't like janky place or anything.
Like Vince Neil's house. He used to rent his house out for pornos.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
And then he'd pick out which ones he wanted them to leave behind when they packed up.
But the good thing about being on Nasty Mix was there was some stuff that they thought that they could handle, and they really didn't know what to do, and we told them what to do. And it's like, because we did a lot of a direct mailing back then, which not a lot of bands did, and we had actually gotten the mailing list from Pusshead. So we had Pusshead's mailing list, and we would do all this mailing, and that was like so far beyond them. They could not understand how that was something that would work, and we're mailing out to fanzines and stuff. That was something that they just couldn't wrap their heads around. So if there's some of that stuff they didn't understand that they wanted to handle themselves, that they really screwed the pooch on. But as far as giving us money, I mean, we did that Splatterrock record, and it was like a $20,000 advance, and we did the thing for like $6,000, and we pocketed 14. And then we did,
and by pocketed it, we mean
drunk it.
We never, and we of course
were eating good.
Yeah, of course we never, after that, we never received. There was never any royalties paid on. And then we did the video for 2 Hours to Sunrise, and then that was after Tom had bailed on us, and
Steve Hanford was.
We had Steve Hanford from Poison Idea.
He plays on that video.
Plays drums on that video, and then we had the other the guitar player that we got right after Tom quit.
is on that video, and that was another thing where we had. I don't know. I think the video budget was, I don't know, like
15 grand.
Yeah, something like that. And I think we did it for $5.
Right.
We just pocketed
Here's one
money.
thing I noticed from say the combat days to Nasty Mix in the promo photos. Was it Nasty Mix? It looks like somebody really tried to clean you guys up. Everybody's hair looked really nice in the one picture I was looking at.
Yeah, we
I
had
almost had to it says is it? Yeah, it's them. Like,
Are you talking about the leather jacket promo one? They're standing there.
yeah, like everybody's hair looks like it's nice and conditioned and blown dried. And then you got the Ray Bans on.
It was like we had what was that guy's name? Shot in the dark guy, Charlie. Yeah, so it was like one of these.
They commissioned these fucking photographer guys. It's like let's get some motherfucker with the camera and snap some photos, maybe some live photos, maybe some candid photos. But you get these guys. There's no. You guys stand like this now. You tilt your head a little.
Oh, there was makeup and some chick there doing makeup and fixing with your hair. The whole thing.
That photo is hanging at our practice space.
Is it? Yeah.
We've drawn all over. We've drawn all this suck balls and shit all over, like little bubbles above, like making fun of it.
Come on. So on Gritting Like an Undertaker, the rap. I used to be able to rap that whole thing. I used to know every. Where'd that come from? That was a little bit out of the blue. I remember at the time. People, the Q's are rapping. Fuck this, and I was like,
That wasn't us rapping. We didn't.
It was somebody else.
That was
two other guys.
That guy.
It was Tacoma, the Mad Poet.
And,
They were called the Peace Team Posse.
Yeah.
I still know that whole rap, and and rap's never been really my thing, but I liked what they were messing with.
Totally. I listened to it today, and the first couple of lines I was stumbling over, and all of a sudden it clicked, and I was able to sing along with it and rap it. But I used to know it. I could just
There's
bust
a man
it out.
who has a dream, but he never seems to make it. Because every time he gets something, somebody tries to take it.
Second
chance.
No one will give in. That's where he's giving.
See him every day, walk by laughing and smirking, thinking to yourself it's only his fault, he ain't working. That may be true, but it's only half the story. So kick on back while I tell you his story. He came back from the war.
And that was really the good thing about doing those songs with the Accused is we may have been like part of that crossover thing, but we were different because we didn't write a whole bunch of songs that kind of fit into a certain type of song.
Sure.
We just kind of
some of that shit's kind of weird
because it was just kind of like whatever.
We weren't really trying to play to bite anybody else's thing.
Yeah. What do you think? We were talking about the covers earlier. It was our dad was always into Skinner, but it was your guys' cover of Saturday Night Special that was like, all right, maybe I should go check Skinner out again. And I did. And
love that cover.
Yeah, the reason we did that song is the idea was because we're on this rap label. We were going to do this have this whole anti-gun message, and then they were going to be able to run with that, and it's like.
Maybe find it into another market also.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because that's a popular. At that point in time, that was a very popular sentiment, like the Peace Team Posse and the whole peace thing. It was like this whole not like hippie peace, but like y'all just stop shooting at each other type shit.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering how that song. I was wondering what Skinner's fans' reaction was to that song.
They didn't hear it.
They what?
They didn't hear it.
No, they just skipped that track on the record.
I was going to say Skinner fans, I don't even know if they'd have the record.
It's on Straight Razor. It's on the Straight Razor EP.
Yeah. I was thinking what Skinner fans thought of even the Skinner version. So you think about who their fan base is. Right. To have this very anti-gun message, especially back then. That was the 70s. And here's their Confederate flag waving heroes with this anti-gun song.
Their take on it is, it's almost like it's an anti-Saturday Night Special, like that particular handgun.
Yeah,
worthless piece of shit.
Because they got it good for nothing.
Killing tons of people.
Yeah, you're
Saturday Night Specials were in the news every night, and they're
it's a cheap, easy versus. Well, we're good old boys. We got guns in the cover. We're not shooting people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's what I think they were calling that out as just a good for nothing. That a Saturday Night Special is
So it's to say it again. Alex made a really good point that the good old boys had the rifles in their trucks. They don't mess around with that gun. They don't kill people. They've got their hunting rifles.
Well, it's kind of it's a tool, and it's not necessarily like that would pop into your mind like that. Like I got jacked in custom clothes, and I asked him, you got weapons? You go, no. Empty your pockets. I'm like, oh, here comes a Swiss Army knife. And the guy snaps it. You said you didn't have a weapon. I go, it's not a weapon. He goes, it's got a knife blade. I go, it's got a fucking screwdriver, man.
Yeah.
I guess I get stabbed with this. Well, I didn't say that. I said lots of those gentlemen.
I remember a time, I think I had my Leatherman on me. I forgot to take it off when I was getting on the plane, and they're like, what is this? Maybe this is still pre-9/11, but you couldn't bring knives on the plane anyway. Like, it's not a knife. I didn't get the knife. I was showing it's pliers and a screwdriver.
Knife, yeah.
Like, it's a tool. And then I finally like, okay. And then I was like, even if it was they're needle nose pliers. I could jab you in the neck with it, man. I'm taking this plane over.
Obviously didn't see The Godfather 4.
I had the accused skateboards. You got any more of those coming, I think?
Actually, you know what? They just showed up at my house this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did another batch of 30.
Are they all pre-ordered?
I think there's about 20 of them that are pre-ordered.
So there's 10 that aren't?
Yeah.
All right, I'll probably get a hold of you in the next 48 hours. Probably 2 of them, one for me and one for the shop.
My guy on that list. I did have one guy that I wanted to hold one for. So
actually, if I'll send you the money, PayPal or whatever, if you can sign it to the shop, and like we got the one from Steve Caballero hanging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, the skateboard, man. I was just some guy that works at a tattoo shop that does these skateboards, and I don't know. He's got whatever program on his computer, and he just kept he'd send me over one art, then he'd send over another one. It's like, all right, we'll do it.
Yeah.
The one thing I was worried about is this girl years ago I had hooked up with to kind of become friends with me. She gave me this accused comic book.
Yeah.
And I was wondering about, was there others? Was it just the one? Like, how did that come about? Was it in a record, or did it just come separate?
It came with a record. It came with that flexi disc.
Well, it came with a flexi.
Oh, see, I didn't get a flexi.
Well, see, that was
gave me.
That was
another. There is a flexi inside.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
We were gonna. That was supposed to come out with the Mad Stories Ever Told record, and then that was something where Combat. I'm not going to say that we were ahead of our times and we had all these great ideas, but we had all these great ideas that they didn't want, that the record labels didn't want. They didn't want to pursue. So we had the comic book was ready to go with the comic.
Yeah, it was killer. And then there was a page where it's just like 30 different accused logos with different bats and all different.
It's amazing, like flash tattoo design.
Yeah, it's like total flash tattoo.
People would send us so much shit in the mail.
Yeah.
Not just artwork. Once we got a yellow envelope, legal envelope full of children's grave markers. That was a pretty good one to open in the band room one after the shoot. What the fuck did you do this for? Now what do we do with them? We got some really weird VHS.
Yeah.
Something weird video.
Analog, baby. Mail-in stuff.
There was even a script that the guys started working on potentially for a Martha Splatterhead movie. I think it was around that time.
Well, that was later on. That was during the last go around.
Right. Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that was going to happen.
But I got to see the script. They got a few pages into actually writing it. So it was pretty exciting. Cool if there was either a accused documentary or a Martha Splatterhead movie or a cartoon even. I wish those things existed as a fan.
Yeah,
some old video of you guys. Old video. A couple different shows.
Oh, you've got that old live video. That's right.
The Archives DVD has so much good stuff. A couple hours, I think. Live stuff.
I meant to ask you earlier. I mean, you had to, even to get into Poison Idea, you had to get your chops somewhere. What were you doing before Poison Idea?
I played... I don't know. I don't think you'd recognize it. Some of the bands I played for before that, but I tried out for Poison Idea because I heard they were losing their drummer, Nathan Richardson, and so I emailed Jerry and told him about myself, and he let me try out a month later, and they picked me out of, I think it was 4 other guys that they tried out, so that was that, but... before PI, I don't think there's any bands that you'd recognize.
Yeah, throw a few names out there.
I was in a metalcore band called Inked in Blood. It was on Face Down record, I think, for a while. Let's see, what else would I talk about? Just a lot of punk bands.
Sure.
From the Northwest. Ones that you probably recognize: Fallen Standard, Starved and Delirious, Patriot, not the Steve from Exodus Patriot, far long before them. Just a lot of punk bands that I guess I could list off, but I don't feel like it. It's a real privilege because Poison Idea and Accused were really my favorite bands, and a lot of my friends' favorite bands too, just in that time. And so much respect for the guys I've been working with for the last few years. It's humbling. It's a very big honor, and I just have so much fun contributing to it artistically. It's like a dream come
it's
true.
fun to play air drums along with the band, so I bet it's great to fucking actually play, man.
Oh man, yeah.
And you had mentioned some of the stuff, Steve, that you'd done in the past, but I got a feeling there's a lot more out there still.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a few anyway.
Yeah.
I was in a thing called Vile Boogie for about 4 or 5 years, and then I've been in a couple other bands with Alex. Hot Rod Lunatics was one. Was in a Hendrix cover band. I played bass in a Hendrix cover band for a few years.
Steve and Alex were in a Judas Priest cover band.
Yeah, we had a Judas Priest cover band going for about 4 or 5 years. We were doing that. The guy that played drums in the Judas Priest cover band is actually I'm in the other Brain Cell Genocide with him, Chris Godey. It's the same. We were in another thing called Hellcat as well. Alex and Chris and me. And Tom Niemeyer.
Okay. It's crazy. This year, what is this year? 2018. I've seen Judas Priest 3 times, and it just it blows me away that 2018 I was able to see Judas Priest 3 times, and the last time I saw him was last weekend.
Oh, just this year you've seen him 3 times?
With Deep Purple.
Yeah, I drove up to Casper, Wyoming to see him, then we came back down and saw him in Loveland, and then last week they were here in Denver.
Was that all 3 with Deep Purple?
Just the last one was with Deep Purple.
Yeah,
the other 2 were with Saxon. Saxon, man, they got to be in their mid to late 60s, and they're at the top of their game, man. They're fucking awesome.
Re-stoked me on Saxon.
Oh, yeah. I was into Saxon when I was younger, then I kind of, and then, I'm full in again.
Saxon's one of those bands that I probably saw just by default almost, when I was a kid. I probably saw those guys 3 or 4 times when I was pretty, teenager. Just, God, I can't even remember who else I saw them with, but several times I saw Saxon almost opening for other guys. Fuck, I can't even think of it now.
In the same conversation we've talked about Saxon and Judas Priest, and over here the Dead Kennedys. For you guys, how did the whole crossover thing come about? You guys are, the Accused were hugely influential not only on punk bands, thrash metal bands, crust punk bands, grindcore.
Yeah. Gore metal.
Where'd your sound evolve from? Your vocals were really influential on a lot of grindcore crust bands. Why? How? Where did it blossom from?
I think my vocals, because I never had a PA. I've never had. I think I've got the best PA I've ever had right now.
Right now,
So I mean, I've tried to make my voice go as much as audible over over the music,
screaming your guts out, working twice.
But however the music came about, I think we're I think really, really earlier on. I know, definitely Alex and myself and Steve probably. You just listen to all different kinds of music.
Yeah.
I think you got to a point where when you're younger, it's so much different because time moves at a different pace than it does now.
Yeah.
You just start because you're young. You're listening to records, so you're finding out about stuff or some stuff. Like when Minor Threat or the first TSL records came out. In Seattle there was maybe 20 of them in the whole fucking city. If you were lucky enough to get one, or you knew somebody that had one, it's just you just
Boston, not LA, or that Flex Your Head DC hardcore one.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Or then you hear about Merciful Fate, and you're able to get that first Merciful Fate record, or the first Megadeth, the first Exodus, where you're listening. Obviously you're listening to Discharge. It's just like
when we were kids. I remember it wasn't a contest or a game, but there was this unofficial competition to find the next band.
Yeah,
and now when
absolutely.
I go through my memories of different bands, I associate Abattoir with Dave, Exodus with Jeff Layton, Overkill with me, Nuclear Assault with me.
DRI.
Yeah, he's DRI.
Man, it was Reagan's Youth, man.
I associate Corrosion of Conformity with the band
See,
too.
Brian was
the Accused.
and Excel. That was the
Yeah.
first time I heard those two bands. Was from, and Chromax, Asia Quarrel. Those 3 albums. I remember just
I remember his friend Brian, I was a few years older, had Grinning Like an Undertaker, and I was like, holy fuck, he like just blew my mind. And then just a few weeks later, I was in Boulder and to see the Butthole Surfers, and Maddest Stories Ever Told was in this shop on cassette, and I grabbed that, and that was it.
No, it wasn't like Grinning Like an Undertaker.
No, it was Maddest Stories Ever Told.
No, the one that Brian had?
No, it was More Fun Than Opus Casket Funeral.
Yeah.
I didn't say that?
No.
So that was the
Grinning
tape.
Like an
Yeah, the
Undertaker.
tape of More Fun, because that was the first thing I had of the Keys as well. That's my introduction.
Yeah,
was the green tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the yellow tape, and I was fucking hooked. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian had More Fun Than Open Casket Funeral.
Yeah, sorry. Dude.
Yeah, More Fun. That was the beginning.
My brain goes faster than my mouth. I don't know what I'm saying.
1987.
55.
Yeah, so we're right at an hour, just about.
55. So
Well, that's a good length to keep people's interest without it drifting off into too much nonsense. So,
Yeah, that's actually. It generally does. It does.
yeah. Final words. What do you have to say?
Check out the new record when it comes out. Hopefully, I don't want to throw any fake dates out, but maybe like early next year or something. I don't know.
We might even have a cool cover on it. Maybe.
Yeah, there's some cover art like involving.
No, cover song.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Involving Martha, AD.
No, we're still at it. We're keeping it real. More so
yeah.
now than that's why we're still all playing. You know, we're all still playing together.
Right on. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for
Thank you.
meeting us a little bit early today. Have a couple beers and chat a bit.
This is great. This is a killer record store. I love this.
Well, thanks for having us down.
Spend
Yeah.
so much money here.
This is like how they used to be. A couple OG ones in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be on tour, we'd see Radiation Records in Fullerton, and Doctor Strange, a couple others. We get to Seattle, those record stores. Even Vegas still has Cash for Chaos, and we got back from the tour and like, yeah, we need to open a record store. And my buddy, we talked about it, and it was kind of like this pipe dream, And then he comes back one day, he's like, all right, I got our business license, and got us registered to the Secretary of State. Now we need a location. So that was that. I went and found the location, and
We started with like 4 boxes of records.
yeah.
How long you been doing this?
So we just celebrated our 4th year.
Yeah. Well, you guys, looks like you guys practice in here, huh?
Yeah, we practice in here. We do small shows in here.
Cool.
Yeah, we I don't know. We're gonna start doing some other stuff. I think we got this artist Brian DeGosta lined up to do a little art show in here over a weekend, and we'll do some book readings, some different stuff. Try to get more use out of the stage. Some of the folks that have the space next to us is it's an art studio, and they do showings a couple times a month, but they're affiliated with Meow Wolf.
You ever heard of Meow Wolf? So down in Santa Fe, there's this all these artists got together and rented this huge warehouse. I was told what the warehouse used to be at one point, but they just bowling alley. So they turned it into every inch is a different art reality.
Yes.
So you walk in and you walk into a cabin, and then you can open the fridge and walk through the refrigerator into Star Trek, and then you're on aboard the Enterprise with these you put your hand up in the door, or you can go out to the fireplace and there's this big dinosaur rabbit, and you go into these different rooms with eyeballs and music playing. It's just all these weird places you can climb up, and they keep changing different places of, and then you have bands playing in the very back of the warehouse, and it's just super trippy, but it's just the coolest playground you've ever been in, regardless of your age. There's just something cool.
Albuquerque? Is that where it is?
It's in Santa Fe, Mexico. Yeah.
They're opening one in Denver next year, or 2020.
20, I think.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, guys.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
your time and appreciate you coming to town. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Steve and Alex and Blaine.
Thanks, Alex.